So,
Hello! Hello! You always say the first thing. I wanted to get the first thing in for a change.
I think I still beat you on the waveform. Looking at the Zencaster.
I still said more than you did.
Yes.
Rule Britannia, no one likes that song. It has references to slavery in it, which I'm not proud of.
Oh my god. Right. With that out of the way, hello everybody. Welcome to Your Time Starts Now, a Taskmaster podcast. I am Joe.
And I am not Joe.
Hello, not Joe. And we are, of course, talking about Taskmaster, the wonderful British TV show that I don't remember the episodes anymore because I watched them just to take notes. So there's that. But we are, of course, covering Season 4 of Taskmaster, and today is Episode 2 called Look at Me.
I have a very quick note
Yes.
before we talk. So, you know, the title screen comes up and it says Taskmaster, and then there's a screenshot of something relevant to the episode, and the episode's title appears at the bottom.
Yeah.
So the sentence "look at me" comes
has a
up
period
on the board.
in it. I was going to mention that, actually.
That is not what well, there's two things. One, it should have an exclamation mark, because and we'll get to that in a second, but we see that it's on the screen behind our Greg, Alex, and the famous five. But the thing is, though, the "look at me" portion is said in the live task. So unless they film this out of order, which is the most likely option, they've basically predicted what Greg's going to say.
Well, I
before
think
he said
knew
it.
what he was going to say, because that task in specific, and we'll get to that task, did require a lot of looking directly at the Taskmaster. So I think that might have been a mild bit of a pre-planned bit.
I don't think it was. It might feel a bit too scripted. I feel like they would have to have.
No, I'm not saying that they pre-planned the bit, but I think they pre-planned at least Greg shouting, "Look at me," at some point. And then maybe they figured they'd edit it out or something. I don't know. That's actually a very good question. This is going to probably be one of several calls out to the audience. If you know how Taskmaster Season 4, Episode 2 was filmed, please do let us know at ytsnpod@gmail.com. Because that's the first time we've got an email drop in a little while. Because it genuinely is. I don't know how they did that. If they didn't pre-script it ahead of time.
Alex Horn, if you're interested in talking to us about Taskmaster, we'd be very happy for you to answer that question.
Oh yes, Alex, if you would like to come on, please do so. Also,
we'll ask him that question and then spend the rest of the episode just bullying him.
I think we'd just end up spending the rest of the episode picking his brain on things that have nothing to do with the actual episode.
Oh no, I don't think we would never, ever, ever have Alex on for just one episode. It would have to be a bonus episode.
Yeah. And then also one other thing about that, because this is our banter this time, because we decided we're going to do it a little quicker for this season. Because we
don't really have any banter unless you do.
I don't. That's the other thing. But also, quick note, on the screen it says "look at me," period. At the end of with the period at the end of the sentence. On the YouTube episode, it does not have the period. There's subtle differences that I've noted every now and again between the title on the YouTube video and the title on the screen. Because I watch this on YouTube because I'm in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a noted difference on all four? Is it Dave? Whatever.
What's the difference?
Is there
my brain just switched off while you were talking?
Thanks. How do you watch this in the UK, Emerson? Do you watch it on YouTube as well, or do you go to the network's website? Which network is it?
If I want to watch it live, I will watch it on the All 4 website.
Does All 4 for this episode have it as "look at me" with a period or "look at me" without a period?
I never actually checked. I'll just check now. because the YouTube episodes are actually region blocked in the UK to encourage people
Yeah,
to watch
I
them.
figured. Yeah,
I,
but
I, I it doesn't really bother. Actually, no. There's no all of the episodes. I'm looking at series 4 here. It's just the title and then a colon with a very very brief description of the episode. So
so
it's like, look at me, colon. This time there's long distance painting, a flying trestle table, and a flagrant cheating.
ah, that is very
All
interesting.
things to come in this episode.
Also spoilers, but yes, we
You
we do
already
have
you already knew that probably.
yes
Anyone who's listening
we
to this probably knows that already. And all 12 series are on all four. Even though only 10 onwards have actually aired on Channel 4.
okay, and then yeah, so meanwhile here I think we're up to like season 10 on YouTube. I'm not entirely certain,
I think they're
but you
posting
can
series 12 right now. Because like sometimes I'll
I
use a VPN for things, and I'll put my VPN on to say New York City. They have full episodes of series 12, I think.
I think they're up, but they're not unblocked yet. I'm not certain. I intentionally have not gone forward and watched those to save them
Yeah,
for
yeah.
when we actually get to the series. Which, by the way, we are approaching the point when I stopped watching Taskmaster in like the beginning of the pandemic in 2020 because I had other shit going on, and so this is going to be wild watching stuff that I haven't seen before. When we get to
What
like
was the
season 5, it has
have
to be
you
some.
have you watched series 5?
It has to be somewhere through in the middle of season 5
Okay.
because I don't remember anything beyond that, but I definitely remember chunks of season 5.
Okay. Do you remember the task where they had to get Alex to shore?
Yes.
Right. That I think that's in the first episode of series 5.
Yeah. I think I've gotten through like maybe episode 3 or 4 of season 5 and not much further beyond that. So anything beyond there is wild and mysterious to me.
How bizarre.
I I I, I had other stuff going on because there was a worldwide pandemic, and unlike a lot of people, my life got busier as a result of lockdown. So I had stuff to deal with for and it just I stopped watching it and then it sort of fell by the wayside for a while.
Okay.
But
I literally just
there's
can't think of a thing to say.
there's our banter and but
All of it
moving
was
right along.
Taskmaster based. None of it was personal
Yeah,
life based.
shock.
Woo!
Moving right along now to the prize task. First, I would like to draw attention to what the contestants are wearing, more specifically what Noel Fielding is wearing. He has changed out of the Grace Jones patterned top and put on a gorgeous purple and yellow Hawaiian shirt. Like, I'm not sure if it's Hawaiian or like psychedelic print, but it's great. I love that. If that were a short sleeve, I would wear the hell out of that. I wear Hawaiian shirts as often as possible. So so that's great. Just wanted to mention that.
Oh, I should say
Noel is
though, I want to bring up Taskmaster New Zealand again, specifically the second series, which has been it's up there as one of the best series of any
yeah,
versions of Taskmaster ever, and I honestly have to
widely
agree.
praised.
Yeah, widely
Widely
praised, and I have to agree because my God, is it great! One of the contestants, Guy Montgomery, I am going to say, hands down, in my personal opinion, does the best task outfits and studio outfits. Because what he does is the Taskmaster's assistant in Taskmaster New Zealand is a guy called Paul Williams, who's quite young. He's about 30-ish, not like Alex. And what Guy Montgomery does is that every task he wears a different shirt of Paul when he at some point in it, like when he was younger.
That's great. Although
And
I as
it's so funny. And then like in the studio segments, he'll like with absolutely no reason or warning, change. Well, I say no reason. There is all the reason, but with no warning, he will magically change into another top of Paul with like him like a big cheesy smile with Paul like a big cheesy smile and braces.
oh, I'm looking at a picture of that. That's great. That's wonderful.
Yeah, Guy Montgomery, David Correos, especially is oh god, I feel like one of the most amazingly funny people I've ever seen. Just because he's like Joe Wilkinson in a way.
Oh, that's going to be interesting. Actually, speaking of Joe Wilkinson, there is a couple of throwbacks to his most notorious task in this episode, which we will get to as we do it, namely some leftover props.
Oh
And
yeah. Before we delve into the rest of the episode itself, would you be interested in covering Taskmaster New Zealand?
I have stated I am interested in covering all of Taskmaster, including including like the Swedish ones
I've not
that
seen
like
this.
is not in. No,
I
neither have I,
don't.
and it's not in English either. I think if we do that, we should notably
It'd
not
have to be
watch it.
Patreon content though.
No, we should do it, but not like watch a subtitled or a dubbed version and just try and figure out what's going on.
Or what if we just gathered a bunch of people together and we all just did like our own English dub of it?
No, no, they're actually. Oh God, here's non-related banter warning. You ever hear of a movie called Be Kind Rewind?
I have not, no.
Okay, this is really funny then because you basically just smashed into the plot of Be Kind Rewind. It was an indie comedy starring like Jack Black, and it's about a video store that um
Mm.
through various plot devices, Jack Black's character became magnetized and wiped all of their VHS tapes and all their DVDs of their content. But
Okay.
they're like, we have to do something so we can fix this. And they end up just remaking the movies in a really shitty fashion. Like with like doing the Lion King with just like cardboard cutouts and like doing the lines like that in front of like a video camera. And they said we Sweded them. They're from Sweden. They're the Sweded editions. So I
What?
think it's a really weird comedy, but I think it's really interesting that you that like when talking about a show from Sweden, you managed to guess that plot without even seeing it.
No, I think I just saw someone on YouTube do it. It was like
Hmm. That might have been inspired by Be Kind Rewind. It's not a well known film, but I remember it being okay. It's been a while since I've seen it.
shall we come back from that tangent? Oh, and
Yes, we
quickly,
should.
Alex's banter. Alex has grown a full beard, but shaved it off after last week's show because Greg told him to. And then he told him to grow
And
it back because Greg preferred it that way. And Greg
yep.
thinks Alex looks like a disgusting adolescent without his beard.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that is I'm considering when I need to shave next. It's like I will not shave it all off and grow it back in a week, but I do need to shave.
You've got a lot of
Personal
facial hair as well.
I do have a lot of facial hair, and that's part of the problem is when I was living in my apartment for college, I often would clog the drains with just whenever I tried to shave.
Uh,
So I didn't.
Valuable lesson. Do you shave over the sink or over the?
I did until I started regularly clogging the sink. Then I did it in the shower and I clogged the shower. So then I ended up like buying Drano whenever I needed to shave.
What is this conversation?
This is about body hair. This is a body
Um,
positive podcast.
I mean, yeah, I guess it is. But I'm gonna say these 2 points, and then we'll get back to the prize task. My dad always electric shaves at least. He does it
Yeah, so
outside.
I haven't tried that. I should.
I mean, it's quite an image seeing a middle-aged man sitting outside in his underwear shaving. And um and in the events that I don't shave outside, this is quite awkward. This is something personally I do. Call me disgusting, I don't care, because it works. I will shave over the toilet.
That's I haven't done that yet.
Call it this. Obviously, I don't like. Obviously, I leave a substantial gap between my chin and the toilet seat.
Wait, you kneel in front of the toilet and do this?
I didn't say I knelt.
How substantial is this gap, Emerson? Is it the height from your chin at standing height to the floor, or are you like kneeling in front of the toilet bowl shaving?
I'd say there's about 1.5 feet.
That's too close. That's too close.
It's either that or shave. Because as a slightly taller fellow, it's either shave and let all my facial hair go everywhere.
Yeah, and then have to clean it up. That's why I shave in the shower, because it all just goes down the drain. And now where I live, the shower doesn't clog, so I'm fine. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. But anyways, away from... hi, if you're still listening to this is a podcast about Taskmaster where we said we weren't going to do any banter. Anyways, banter. Going right along to the prize task that we are talking about.
What was that tangent?
That was facial hair. But anyways, today's prize task is your most boastful item. An item which you are most pleased to boast about. We start off with Noel Fielding, who in 2008 won the Sexiest Man of the Year award from NME magazine. Notable among this is that it includes a recommendation from someone on NME's MySpace page, as if this couldn't be more dated. This particular article.
I've never used MySpace.
No, most people haven't anymore because most people our age weren't like within the MySpace's user demographic.
Oh, sorry, I was just scrolling through. I was listening to you, but I was scrolling through Instagram as you were talking, and I've just seen something that I can't necessarily process.
Okay.
Snoop Dogg, the rapper, to date this a little bit, has just turned 50.
What do you mean Snoop looks like he's 9,000 years old.
No, he doesn't.
Hold on. Okay, another tangent.
We will edit this bit out.
No, we won't.
Yes, we will.
Born 1971. What the fuck? That's okay. Sure, that is. That
means Shaq O'Neal is going to be 50 next year.
Shaq's not 50?
No, he's... And Dwayne... And The Rock's going to be 50 as well.
Jesus Christ, my mom is older than these people and she looks younger than they are. Anyways,
it's a sign of time marching on. Sorry for that.
Maybe put Instagram away so that we can get.
I'm very fidgety. I'm very fidgety with a short attention span. I'm not making any promises.
Buy a fidget spinner. Jeez.
No. 2017 was 4 years ago.
Do you want me to buy you a fidget spinner for your birthday, Emerson? Is that
my birthday was My birthday was last week, Joe.
Sure, it was. At date of recording. Anyways,
and at date of release.
Sure it is. Continuing on, Lolly has Lolly got a certificate for doing GCSE level math, which I assume that GCSE is somewhat similar to the AP math.
How old are you when you take APs?
APs are not required. AP means advanced placement, which is It means you're smart. It's not required. What
GCSEs are compulsory exams you have to do in
what
English schools at the age of 16.
what do they do? What is their purpose?
Well, their purpose is to. So I'm going to make this incredibly quick. After GCSEs, people can either go on to do another set of exams called A levels, uh, which are what exams that can get you into, if you get the right grades, can get you into university. What can also get you into university, but is not as highly sought after as A levels, is doing an apprenticeship, which means you can legally drop out of school at the age of 16 to do an apprenticeship, and after that you can go to. I didn't do an apprenticeship, so I'm not entirely sure how that works, but yeah,
Okay,
basically
now we
you
don't.
cannot leave school without GCSEs.
Interesting, because we don't have. Okay, we don't have that in the United States. Again, very quickly, we do have standardized tests that are issued fairly regularly to kids. I remember taking them in like third grade in like 2004. So they were a yearly thing that's purely for the edification of the State Department of Education, and there's a lot of back and forth arguments, even to this day, about how necessary they are. There is no requirement that you take anything to go to college. Um, Normally, I distinct in Ohio, I did have to take something called the OGT, the Ohio Graduation Test, which was sort of a thing that made sure you weren't completely failed by the education system. But again, much more for the edification of the State Department of Education, because this was to let you graduate high school. I don't believe it did not have any bearing on college admissions. College admissions are normally governed by the ACT or the SAT, which are
Mm-hmm.
two nationwide standardized tests that are given independently of schools by the companies that run those, and colleges usually look at those. However, in recent years, due to lots of arguments against the efficacy of standardized tests on a whole, and how schooling and education works in the United States, a lot of schools have not been caring as much about that, and some schools just look at your academic record from high
Sorry to
school.
interrupt, Joe, but we are 23 minutes
Yeah,
in.
yeah, yeah. No, I was just finishing up. Um, I and so it's just like it's not required to take that to get in, which is also annoying a lot of people who did rely on those to get in now, because some schools that like did care now don't, and those are like actually the really prestigious ones like Stanford and Harvard and Yale. So there's that. We've dipped into education, but this one I'd planned for as soon as we talked about GCS. As soon as they talked about GCSEs and this, and I was like, I have no idea what this means. Also, the joke is that Lolly didn't actually take the GCSE. She just was at GCSE level math, which is
Yep.
basically like the sound effect of Homer Simpson going, and that's all we have to say to that. Yep. And then, well, math sucks, so we're just going to keep on going from there. Mel won. Mel's achievement is 4 different Best Boar awards that she won at a fair for her guinea pig. Not an actual pig, her guinea pig. And Greg asks, was Mel a young child when she won these? And the answer is that Mel was 45 when she won these, which is probably not that recent, probably not that distant from when this show aired. So
Must have been about
that
six,
is
7-ish years ago, maybe.
so. And considering
Oh
that
no,
this
Siri
particular
just came up on
episode,
my laptop. But anyway,
this
keep going.
episode, considering that this episode aired like 4 years ago, or
Yeah, it
yeah,
wouldn't
four.
have.
It was not that recent from when Mel was. It was not
It
that
was not
far away.
far away.
And then fine. And then we have Hugh, and Hughes is a really lengthy one. Hugh was really into sports in school. Hugh on was on a six-a-side football team in school. Got as a teenager, they got as far as the national finals for public school six-a-side football. Hugh fucked up during the game and allowed the only goal scored in that game, which meant that his team lost. He got a loser's medal presented to him by the then manager of the Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Okay.
I don't know who those are, and this is a really weird thing to boast about, but it also is sort of really funny. Then we have
Wolverhampton Wanderers is just
I assume they're a
is a
soccer
football
team.
club, colloquially
Yeah.
known as the Wolves.
Okay.
Anyway, next.
And then we have Joe Lysett, who was like I took was who basically just presents a selfie of of himself with the Chuckle Brothers,
Yeah.
which is, from everything that I understand about British culture, a really big deal to people his age.
Yeah, they're like some of the greatest British children's entertainers of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace, Barry Chuckle died
Yep. Which
in.
my favorite Ed Gamble joke, other than his podcast that we will not name, is when he was on Mock the Week right after that happened, and it's things you wouldn't hear on a children's show, and he just went to me, and
Oh
that was it.
man,
That was it.
that is
Because
that's
that is
tragically insulting.
it brought the house down on from the Mock the Week audience after it was like one of those like slow groaning laughs as everyone was like, "Oh, okay, he actually did just do that."
Yeah.
Um so uh so yeah, that's it. So then we're going to go into the scores that Greg gave, and then we're going to do everybody's favorite segment of this show, Taskmaster Joe.
Okay.
Uh, so
Score, Stuart.
Greg quite naturally thinks that Hughes is terrible and puts him in last, a common theme throughout this entire year season. Then we're just going to play the soundbite from Joe right here with the whole like booing and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Chuckle Brothers. What? You shut your fucking mouth. I will put him last. I mean it.
Then Mel gets third. Lolly gets second.
Somehow.
And yeah, somehow. And then Noel gets first. Now we're going to play the Taskmaster Joe intro.
Taskmaster Joe.
And I'm going to give Lolly last place because
Ooh.
that's not okay. If it had been she got her GCSE in math at age 9, boast about that. I can do math at a GCSE level at age 9. It's like, so what? Did you pass?
We'll never
Did you
know.
take the... We'll never know. So that's not that. We don't care about that. I'm putting Mel in fourth. I don't have anything against her, but there is better ones than this. There's better ones than I won prizes for my guinea pigs. I mean, Jesus Christ, you've been on Bake Off. This is what you bring in. You hosted Bake Off. This is what you bring in.
Bake Off is one of the most influential British shows in recent years.
I know,
for sure.
like I watch Bake Off sometimes on Netflix. It's like, this is what you bring in out of everything you've ever done. And third, I give Hugh because Hughes was not. It wasn't bad, but there's a couple things better than it. Namely, second place Joe's selfie with the Chuckle Brothers, because as far as like filling the exact thing in the task, a selfie with the Chuckle Brothers is exactly something that fills the boast-worthy thing. Nothing else to this point is really something that like comes up like in conversation that often. But I feel like this gets pulled out a lot. And then if I were Noel Fielding, I would have the sexiest man of the year thing blown up on my wall in my house. And so
Yeah,
he
I can
gets
see
first
that.
place. He gets first place because how can you not? And then
How
so
can you not? On to the
on to
first
task
task.
1.
So, task 1: keep a basketball on a running machine for as long as possible. They're not allowed to touch the machine or the basketball with their hands. So an important thing to note would be Mel's mum run, which is a funny little thing.
Joe kisses Greg's portrait when he goes outside because
He does that a lot.
I would actually like to just mention this. The treadmill is sitting outside in the like driveway of the Taskmaster house. So Joe has to come out the front door to do this. Is it
Yep.
treadmill? Why is it called running machine? What is
Maybe it's just like the most basic name for it.
I guess we call
Like
it
if you think,
treadmills here in the United States.
I think I'm not exactly sure what some people call it treadmill, some people call it a running machine. I think calling it a running machine is the most basic, not up for question name you can give it.
I guess. But yes. Moving. So yes,
Nolan,
I don't think they're allowed to touch the machine at all. Like not with their hands or anything else.
Yeah, that's right. Shall I talk about Noel and Joe?
Yes, the fashion boys.
So what Noel does is essentially, in Greg's words, build a 1980s children's den. Just basically piling sofa cushions and stuff just on top of the ball to sort of keep him in place. And then he throws a doormat on top.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Joe puts two buckets, a bucket up on either side of the basketball on the treadmill, and then a plank of wood on top of the buckets, tapes them down in several places.
And then puts a board on top. And this is supposed to kind of hold it in place?
Yeah, I did say he put the plank of wood on top.
Also, just to point out, Noel didn't get the couch cushions from inside the house. He actually ran into the caravan and got that. He's the only contestant to actually do anything with the caravan in this task.
Oh, fair enough. I didn't notice that.
Anyway, he didn't grab the couch cushions from inside the Taskmaster house.
Well, basically, the running machine is turned on, and their basketballs literally fall off right away.
Yes.
No times were given, and I think...
No, they were 3.8 seconds for Joe and 3.75 seconds for Noel.
Oh, damn. That is...
Noel describes his attempt as devastatingly bad.
Especially because he lost by that small margin.
I mean, it's not the small... It's... Everybody
I mean, it's not like...
in this...
It's not like the 1 gram difference separating Tim and Ramesh in the watermelon task.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on to some slightly more successful Mel and Lolly.
The women.
The women, as Alex calls them. Mel has this idea to originally just... the reason I'm just saying I'm speaking a little bit quieter because my housemates are going to sleep. Because it is just gone 11 here. Anyway, so Mel has this idea to blow through a drain pipe. In my opinion, this is an absolutely stupid idea. It's not going to work at all. She just does not have the She just doesn't have the lung capacity to do that.
Yeah, she actually she mentions she wants to blow on the ball, and she mentions a science experiment thing where ping pong balls are kept elevated in the air through air pressure alone. And the problem is that with ping pong balls, you have to use like basically a leaf blower level of airflow to do that.
Yeah.
So a golf ball would not a golf ball, a basketball would take much more
But
lung
still, a
capacity than
golf
she
ball
could
would
ever
too,
give.
because golf ball is a lot denser than
Yeah,
a
it
ping
would.
pong ball.
Yeah. So it does take a lot more
I think you need
energy.
about 10, maybe even more leaf blowers to keep even just a golf ball in the air.
Mhm. I would have to look that up. I don't know for certain.
Neither do I. But anyway.
If you know,
It,
please email us about it at ytsnpod@gmail.com.
anyway, so then she tries using a snow shovel, which is weird because it doesn't snow a lot in the UK.
They always have weird stuff around there, although I would say the weird thing is the manner in which she actually tried to use the shovel.
It wasn't bad. It was quite cool, actually. It was like trying to
What she
scoot it
tried to do
along.
is she tried to like do it like it was a hockey stick with a hockey puck where you're like constantly moving it. And that's really dumb because all she would have had to do was hold the shovel in place and the ball couldn't go anywhere else. This way she lost control of the ball and it fell off.
I mean, I'm going to make a very quick point about this, and I want to move on. Then I'm going to move on to Lolly for time's sake. But I think just leaving. Sorry, I bumped my pop filter. I think just leaving the shovel in place, the ball would probably just drift either side of it, and
Well, yeah, no, it would eventually, but the exaggerated motions she was using did not make it better. It like to quote Alex, she would have there would have been a lot. She would have gotten a lot more time if she'd been better at it.
I love that. I love that. I love when Alex says things like that. Lolly Adafope, she puts a bucket on top of the ball, which somehow fits, and then she just piles other stuff around it, basically creating some sort of barrier. Works for a bit, but then the ball just falls off after 15.8 seconds. A little bit better than Mel's 9. But Lolly says it's one of the biggest regrets of her life, which I think was
Yeah,
a bit extreme.
it did not work well. Her plan was that she was going to have the piles of stuff behind the treadmill basically act as a barrier for the bucket, and she didn't pile them up high enough, and it didn't work.
It's a shame,
So,
though, because it had the potential to work.
Oh yeah, she said if she just held it with her hands, it would have gone well.
Yeah. Last but not least, we have Hugh Dennis.
Yeah. But first of all, Mel did it in 9 seconds, and
I did
Lolly
mention
in
that.
and Lolly 15.8.
I did mention that.
My bad.
Now we have Hugh Dennis, and I said that Hugh Dennis has a lot of lows, but when his lows are lows, his highs are really high, and I think this is one of Hugh Dennis's highs, for sure. So, have you got nothing to say to that?
I think that Hugh is a goddamn genius. But
He says while I hold a gun to his head.
I actually did want to mention something. At the end, Hugh takes a plastic tray from inside the house and use that to hold the ball in place before he gets it works perfectly, and he eventually gets a chair and then a book, and then just eventually has Alex bring him the cord so he can unplug it. And the question that I have is, the rules said you cannot touch the running machine. Does the running machine in that definition include the plug?
I really don't know, considering that Alex has said that Hugh Dennis, I think it was this approach, Hugh Dennis's approach to this task on the podcast we shall not name, he said that it's one of like 4 perfect task attempts in the entire
Okay.
12 series of the show.
That's wonderful. But no, I was just wondering whether or not if you go back and look at it again, whether or not we consider the plug to be part of the running machine. Because if so, then he basically does it perfectly and then falls flat at the last possible moment. Unless, of course, this is like an extension cord and the actual plug for the machine is somewhere off screen.
Well, there is an extension plug. Oh, wait, it actually is attached to an extension plug.
Well, no,
think.
yeah. Well, there's an
Maybe
extension. What he does in the episode is he asks Alex, "Can you bring me the plug?" And Alex walks over with a extension cord that's on like a portable reel, and then there's a plug sticking into the side of the reel that goes off, and it looks like it's the factory provided power cord for the treadmill.
Yeah.
And then instead of turning it off, because I know British plugs have you can basically flip a switch and it turns the plug off independently.
That's at the wall, though.
Well, I didn't know if extension cords had that or not, but
They
Hugh
don't.
just grabs the entire plug and pulls it out. And what I was thinking is that's technically part of the running machine or the treadmill because it's part of it. And I don't know if that counts, but nobody ever obviously it's not going to take anything away from him because it's
in the past.
What 4 years later, and Greg and Alex definitely did not call him out on that, so maybe that's just me.
I think we should keep this roll moving.
Yeah, if you are one of the employees of Taskmaster who watches this and then comes up with compilation videos that seem like they were pulled straight from our heads, please do leave a coded message in the next video on the official Taskmaster YouTube channel.
I don't think you can do Taskmaster Joe for this one.
No, I can't. Only thing left to mention is that
the ball was on the treadmill for 4 months.
Until Storm Doris dislodged it. When was Storm Doris?
No idea. Get it right. I'll censor that. Storm Doris. It was in the
again.
Sometime it was in the 2016 to 2017 weather season. So yeah,
Okay.
about the right time. Anyway, that leaves the scores. Hugh Dennis wins with 5, Lolly 4, Mel 3, Joe 2, Noel 1.
Yep. And then Kazoon, get a tissue while I do this.
I do have one.
Okay. So task 2. Task 2, the task is paint the best picture of the Taskmaster. Only the paint and brush may touch the mat, easel, and canvas. You have 10 minutes.
This task is iconic.
Just sort of introduce this task. So outside in the driveway of the Taskmaster house, there is the infamous red-green from the Get the Potato in the Hole task. Except now it is being referred to as a mat. There's an easel in the center of it, and then there's painting supplies off on one side. Everybody comes out the doors. Joe, the door of the Taskmaster house, to see this. Joe Lysett, once again, opens the door, steps out, runs back, kisses Greg's portrait. And the task is located below everyone's eye lines on its own little miniature easel, on its own miniature red-green in front of it, which is important because Mel doesn't see the task at first and just sees the easel on the mat and is like, oh, I bet I can't go on the red-green. I bet I can't go on the red, can I? Which, good for her, but also, because she didn't know she was doing that, she absolutely could have walked onto the mat and removed the easel from it if she thought that's what it was. And she wouldn't have been penalized because she hadn't opened the task yet. So I was just thinking, it's like she got it, and then it's like the Morse code thing, and look under and with the balloons and look under the table. It's like you acknowledged it was there and then didn't do anything. Also, a special shout out to the task intro to this, which has Alex. It's one of my favorite art-based sight gags. is Alex is painting the portrait of Greg that's in the hallway that Joe keeps on kissing, and it has him like with a single daub of paint about to paint on a blank canvas, pans to Greg for a second, and when it comes back, the entire portrait is painted, and of course, it's actually just a blown up photo. But I love that gag. I love that gag because it's just really funny. Anyways,
Yeah, it's a
as
write-off.
as
He
we
says
said,
with utter ecstasy in his voice.
utter ecstasy in his voice. You need to get some caffeine. Uh,
I mean,
at,
my plan was to go to sleep right after this.
get some like I would say get 5 hour energy. Do they make like 20-minute energy?
Possibly not, no.
As I said, the task is paint the best picture of the Taskmaster. Only the paint and brush may touch the mat, easel, and canvas. You have 10 minutes. Joe Lysett's task also says, also you must smile at the camera with increasing enthusiasm every 30 seconds. So we have to so he has that increased onus on him. Then, of course, we get them introducing the thing, which is that obviously you can't do long distance painting. That would be stupid.
Nope. Very stupid.
Zoom in on some very annoyed looking comedians and Mel Gedroit, host of Bake Off, who are just like, God damn you. Which I think is really funny. They zoomed in on Mel, and Mel didn't do this. Mel didn't do this, and I have no idea why she's annoyed. But they did have but as it immediately smash cut to Lolly and Joe doing long distance painting, where they both taped paintbrushes to really long sticks. I think Joe used a crutch and Lolly used some kind of metal rod that just they painted from a distance. Joe's painting was exceptionally good considering the limitations he was under.
Oh god, yeah.
Lolly painted hers in a variety of methods, including just throwing paint at the canvas. Eventually, she knocks the easel over entirely, causing it to fall backwards, which means it's actually closer to the edge of the red mat than it would have been otherwise. So she runs around to the other side and continues painting, but now has to do everything upside down.
Yeah, that's
as
major
Lolly's
downside.
system is described by Greg as absolute fucking madness, and we're also treated afterwards to a montage of Joe's increasingly deranged smiles,
Or
which I think is
difficult
real.
poo faces.
Yep. I in my notes I have Joe's painting looks like it is either of a serial killer or by a serial killer, but is still technically sound.
Mm-hmm.
Lolly's looks like it was made by someone who is mentally unwell.
It's a bit harsh.
It is not recognized. It is, with the exception of two solid colored eyes, it is not recognizable as a person.
No.
More than a little bit.
Oh.
And
no.
It's one of those things where if you painted it, it's either this is like the most abstract thing you can imagine, or you just have to look at the painter and says, "Are you all right? Is everything going all right at home?" Like, it's not. It's not. It's not. We're gonna keep going from there.
It's in Greg's words.
Absolute fucking madness.
Yeah.
What about Hugh?
We're gonna Hugh. I don't know where to go with Hugh because Hugh either misunderstood the task or maybe didn't read it all the way through. He sort of went with the "you can't step on the red-green" logic, and so grabbed some nearby mats and tossed them on the mat, and then just stood on top of them and painted up close, which he was not supposed to do, is disqualified. He looks baffled by this, like everyone saying, "Oh, Hugh, you did it wrong," when he's in the studio, and is DQ'd. His painting makes Greg have a giant yellow ring around his entire face. Don't know why.
It is very pop arty, like you said, though.
It is very pop arty. It's not bad. This is what I was thinking through the entire thing, is that I would be in real trouble because I would be able to get... I would not be painting at a distance because I'd figure out a way of moving it, but I definitely would have no idea how to do it. Which, by the way, I'm really surprised that nobody read the task and said, oh, only the paint or the brushes can do that. And I'm really surprised that nobody decided to like paint the bottom of their shoes or paint their feet and then stand on the mat or do something, or stand on paintbrushes, or
that's
like
unbelievably clever.
Or do what Hugh did and put a mat down but paint the bottom of the mat, like something like that. But I also, like, as I thought of that, I would also be thinking, but I like my shoes. So that might not be the best route, but it definitely is one you could do if you were dedicated enough.
Taskmaster likes dedication, though.
Yeah. I like my shoes more than I like winning the show.
At 51 minutes in, shall we talk about Noel and Mel?
Yes, we should. Noel and Mel both roll the mat up using paintbrushes, so that they actually roll the mat up until they can get close to the easel and then paint normally. If we could play an audio clip from here, and Alex asks Mel, once she's rolled up, now how's your art? She replies, really bad. And then, actually, if we could just play the entire audio of this section, because there's just a huge number of one-liners from these two, and their art isn't really, their painting process isn't shown at all.
All right. And after that, we'll go straight into scores.
Am I allowed to bring the easel over to me with something, an implement?
What was it? Only the paint and the brush? Right, that's an easel.
Yes.
That's a palette.
Yes.
Roller. That's allowed to touch the mat, isn't it? Bit closer to the easel.
Now, how's your art?
Really bad. He's got hair, hasn't he? Oh, yes. Big old mouth, look. Pallid, quite pallid, isn't he? Oh, make the eyes meaner. Mean. Oh.
Sorry, Greg.
Yeah. Well, so Noel's picture is actually... I just wanted to very briefly describe this. Noel's picture looks really good. It's a caricature sort of style.
It depicts Greg as a sex god.
Yes. My notes for this goes Mel's ... oh my. Because it's like it's almost like a smash zoom into Greg's face. He thinks it looks like a gibbon. I think it looks like, again, like something you'd find in a serial killer's hideout. Like it's what he like, and like the police open the doors and like, this is the work of a madman, and then like that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
Greg seems to like it. Greg likes it. So scores for Greg. Hugh is disqualified, so he gets no points. Lolly gets 4th, Mel 3rd, Joe 2nd, and Noel 1st. Very quickly, let's do the Taskmaster Joe theme.
Taskmaster Joe.
Hugh is obviously disqualified. I can't change that. I'm going to give Lolly 4th, Joe 3rd, because it's not the best. I thought that Mel's was very interesting, so that goes 2nd. Even after what I just said about it, I thought it was very interesting to look at.
That's a very
Like
interesting comment too.
there's just like, it's a very, like, you look at it and you just want to keep looking at it more to like try and understand this painting.
I
And
see
then
that.
Knowles is just good. Knowles is just good. Like, I would hang Noel or Mel's in my house, if, assuming that I was like the Taskmaster and it was done of me, because those are both like very good paintings. I would not hang Wally's, and I'm really not sure I would hang up Joe's.
Wow.
And then actually, very quickly before we go into the team task, the ad break. There's I've talked. No, we normally don't talk about the ad breaks in between, but what happens is Alex is normally doing something and indicates which segment of the show they're on. And in this one, he is dancing in unison with a sky dancer, which is one of those giant inflatable things with the flappy arms that
You'll
you
normally
see
see them
outside, like
outside like a in the
car
States
dealerships or something.
or 7-Eleven.
I have. There is one 7-Eleven near me, and they do not do that. But it's normally like some sort of advertising thing. And Alex is dancing in tune with the Sky Dancer. He's moving around with it, and when it deflates, he acts like he's deflating. And he's got the same. This Sky Dancer has like a hat and like is painted to look like it has a jacket on. So he has a jacket and a top and a bowler hat. But what I find really interesting is that when they come back from the commercial break, the Taskmaster word mark is put on the screen and is motion tracked to the torso of the Sky Dancer. If you want to go into the YouTube video, it's at 21 minutes 52 seconds. And it's motion tracked onto the Sky Dancer and moves with it as it waves back and forth. And I don't think at any other point in the series to date that there has been anything that has been motion tracked like that it just without even mentioning it. Like, I'm sure they've done something where they're like tracking someone's hand movements and it's like they put the circle around it, but this is the first time that something has just been like motion tracked as a background element. If there's anything in the like 4 seasons before this that did do that, please email us at ytsnpod@gmail.com or leave a comment on our YouTube videos telling me that they have, because I'm very interested to see whether or not the like editing team decided to throw this in, or if I've just been missing it, because it's very subtle.
Okay.
And then we go on to the team task, and I'll let Emerson talk for a while.
Okay. I want to keep this brief for obvious reasons. But this is the first team task. Land as much flour on a target without leaving the bandstand. So the teams are as follows. We have Mel and Hugh, and Joe, Lolly, and Noel.
Yeah, the Desky and Mel versus the youth.
The origins of Desky come from Hugh's dedicated work ethic at uni.
Yep. And then specifically, just to be specific with what the task was, land the flour on the target. You may not leave the bandstand. Most flour lying loose on the target wins. You have 20 minutes. Because loose flour is important. Well, it would have been important if somebody hadn't cheated.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Way to spoil it.
You mentioned cheating already with this, but
I couldn't help it. I was reading the episode description on.
But but just to sort of say this, they're in one of the bandstands that we've had a couple of episodes of a couple of team tasks in before, and there's a target some distance away from the bandstand, and they have a pile of loose flour and a collection of utterly useless implements to try and get the flour from there to there.
In case you've forgotten, I'm doing this task.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You never describe what's going on in the task sometimes. You don't describe what's going on.
That's because I'm a very concise and to the point individual. So we start with the two old folks, Mel and Hugh. Hugh gets the idea to tie a piece of string around one of the darts and throw it to the target so he can then pull it back. But the dart does not come back with the string. So what they try to do instead is throw what they call popper bombs of flour, which I think are just like loose poppadoms full of flour or something. They just throw them straight onto the target. Bish, bash, bosh. We get the job done.
They also threw bricks.
For some reason.
I believe the intention behind the bricks was they threw the darts and were going to try and like haul it back using the rope, and it didn't move, so they were like, let's dislodge it with a brick.
I mean, might have worked. I don't know.
It didn't.
Nope, it did not. But, oh god. They got 193 grams of flour out of a possible 2 kilograms.
5 kilograms.
5 kilograms, sorry. Not awful, but could be better. They were saved by a little bit of what's the word? Flagrant cheating from the youths and Noel. But first they had the very good idea to create a zip line of things down to the target. Then they get the idea to this works okay. Then they wet the flour to make like a snowball and then just throw it to the target. Noel does something with a stuffed toy fox. I'm not sure what exactly it is.
Noel guts or eviscerates a small stuffed fox, stuffs its chest cavity full of flour, and then uses it like a drug mule to, on the zip line / breaches buoy they've created to the target, and it works, but it's also, he just like ripped it open and shoved flour into its chest cavity.
Which is pretty graphic.
It's kind of fucked.
I mean, there'll be some more quote-unquote animal abuse this series.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think they just chuck more random objects. I think Joel chucks like the helium can at one point.
They start throwing things after a while. They devolve into chaos, and by the end of the task, everything up to and including the folding table and a helium container and a metal helium container are just chucked over the railing with no real regard for anything.
I can't remember exactly how much they got originally.
They got 217 grams of flour. They got several hundred grams of wet flour, which was then dried and turned into 217 grams of dry loose flour. And then it's revealed that Noel Fielding
stopped the clock.
Yes.
Flagrant cheating, if I've ever seen it.
Yes, he actually goes, when Alex isn't looking, he goes behind him, taps the button on the iPad, and makes the clock stop working.
I mean, I don't know why, especially in team tasks, I don't know why people cheat. You're just going to make enemies, so to speak.
Because it's funny. That's why. And also it's because they were fully in the Lord of the Flies mode.
Yeah, but there are some people on the show who aren't doing it for just to have fun and are genuinely out for, they're either taking the trophy or they're out for blood.
Yeah, but do you think that Agent of Chaos Noel Fielding cares?
No, but I still don't understand why someone would cheat. You're just going to drag people down with you.
Unknown. Maybe he didn't think there was a camera pointed there.
So at the end of that, Mel and Hugh get 5 big smackers points each, and everyone on the team of 3 is DQ'd and gets fuck all.
Yep.
So with one more task of the episode to go, and it's a short one, I'll hand over to Joe.
This one's it's phrased as simple but complicated. So bear with me as I explain what's going on. On the table in the lab in the Taskmaster house, there is an egg, a deflated rubber balloon, a plastic horse, blue tack, rice, bread, some straws, chopsticks, and an egg cup. The task as follows is, without touching the egg or the egg cup, get the egg into the egg cup. You may only use the equipment currently on the table. If you touch, not use, touch another piece of equipment that another contestant touches, you will both receive a 1-minute time penalty per piece of equipment touched. Fastest wins. Your time starts now. They start, and now this makes no fucking sense, but it will make more sense as you keep going. So to start with, Noel and Joe both use the slice of bread on the table to just pick up the egg and deposit it in the egg cup. It's played side by side, and they do it almost identically. Noel takes 2.5 seconds, Joe takes 2.8. Almost identical, but because they've both used the bread, they both get a minute added onto each other's scores. Then Hugh used the bread, except that Hughes was very tragic because Hugh pats the bread to make it flat. He uses a chopstick. He sort of dances the egg onto the bread using just one chopstick, and eventually just gives up and uses it in the same way as Noel and Joe did, but took significantly longer. And then he has 2 minutes of penalties just with Joe and Noel also using the bread, and we're not even done with all the penalties yet. Then we have Lolly, who thinks about it for a couple of seconds, pulls the blue tack apart, and then uses that to put the egg in the egg cup. That takes her 28 seconds.
Wow.
Mel then is totally in the weeds about what the horse is there for, because she does not understand how it's even possible to be used in this, who would use it. And then she's I'm going to touch everything.
She's like a small child in a museum.
And touches every single object on the table.
Like I said,
basically like a blind panic, like a small child in a museum, and then gives up and uses the bread, then says that she really enjoyed touching everything.
Why? Why would you say that? What does that mean?
I don't. She said she enjoyed it. She seemed like she had a good time. I don't know. It took her 57 seconds to do this, but because she touched everything, even though she didn't use it, that means that she has an extra penalty from Hugh, Joe, and Noel using the bread, a minute penalty for Hugh using the chopstick, and a minute penalty for Lolly using the blue tack, which means that she has a 5-ish minute penalty right off the bat, plus the 57 seconds. Hugh gets an extra 2 minutes of penalties. Noel and Joe each get another minute, and Lolly gets a minute of penalty as well, which means I don't fucking know
the scores.
What the score order is, other than that Lolly wins.
So Lolly wins. Noel just beats Joe. Then it's Hugh in fourth and Mel in last place. So which means with one task to go, Lolly, Noel, and Mel are all on 15 points each. And Hugh's not behind on 13, so it's pretty close. The only person who doesn't... Joe has the tiniest chance of winning. And yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess then, the live task is me. I will wrap this up.
Welcome to Smock the Week.
I loved that.
This is terrible podcast content, this task.
We won't play the soundbite this week.
No, because the soundbite actually doesn't matter, because the reveal is what's really funny at the end.
The Smock the Week content comment, is perfect, especially because Hugh Dennis is there.
Yeah. Hugh Dennis, famous of Mock the Week, of being one of the longest standing regular contestants on Mock the Week.
Or pretty much the only one. The only regular aside from Dara O'Brien.
Well, yeah, now that Andy's gone and Frankie's gone, yeah.
Dara O'Brien would be an interesting get for Taskmaster, I think.
Dara would be great. Dara would also be really good if they ever wanted to basically if they ever wanted to have a Taskmaster, where all the Taskmasters from the various shows have to compete, they could have Dara would be a good as the Taskmaster for that show.
Well, no, I think maybe because Dara Breen, he's quite a tall fella. I think he could be like Greg Davis could see him as quite a threat.
Yeah.
So I think
it would be very funny to see either way.
Anyways, the live task, make the biggest balloon chain while keeping eye contact with the Taskmaster. And they're all wearing smocks.
They're all wearing like gigantic hairdressing smocks that cover like their entire body from the neck down.
Many implications can be made, and there are many innuendos that were not made.
Yep, and there are many that were made. And also, in this task, they have to keep their arms underneath the hairdressing smock at all times.
Also, Noel Fielding spent the whole time taking his pants off and putting them back.
According to him. But yes, there is underneath the smocks, along with the contestants, is a bucket of balloons, some tape, rubber bands, and string.
Yep.
Which, what I really love is that before Alex could even say start, you can already hear tape noises start being made.
From like Hugh Dennis.
Possibly. We're not sure who.
It was definitely from either Hugh Dennis or Joe Lysett.
Joe Lysett, who also is given the task, is told to read the task and opens it with his mouth. And he looks like a damn crocodile trying to, like, kill an antelope.
Yep. I think we should so basically, it's complete carnage. Greg is shouting,
Look at me, look at me! Keep looking at me when you're doing this. Look at me, Lolly! Look at me. No, look at me.
And then the task just ends as quickly as it started.
Yeah, they had 100 seconds.
So Hugh Dennis has made a chain of 6 balloons.
Yeah, this is really impressive at the end of it, because the reveal, every time the reveal is, it's really impressive because Hugh didn't rubber band the balloons together, because these are the really long balloons that like balloon animals are made out of. Hugh actually went to the effort of tying each balloon
But that
together.
was not taken into account, and I feel like he should have got a pity point for that.
What do you mean? Pity point for what?
Physically tying the balloons together with the knots at the end rather than using like string or elastic.
I don't know. I don't think he deserves a pity point for that. I think it's just
maybe not a pity point, but just
a
extra point. That's my personal opinion.
Because Mel also tied them.
I didn't notice Mel tie them.
No, Mel also tied hers together.
Joe, can you tell we're tired, folks? Yes, I'm. In case you couldn't tell, when most of the times we record this podcast, I am tired because because time zones, I have to record this at around 10, 11 in the evening. But anyway,
at some point we're going to have to get you out here in the States, and then we'll have a live. We'll have an
episode.
No,
I'm not coming to you.
Room. Oh
no, I might maybe, but I feel like you're more likely to come to me than the other way around.
Oh, what? You don't want to go on a great U.S. vacation and come see the wonderful part of Ohio that has roller coasters?
Or would you rather come to the UK and do a tour of all the locations seen in Taskmaster?
That would be fun if they'll let me in.
Maybe in the next year or two, probably. Anyway, Joe Lysett, not as good as Hugh, 3 balloons. Lolly Adefope does this weird, like, she creates like a balloon palm tree.
She basically tapes all her balloons together in a gigantic clump.
It's 10 balloons.
And it's 10 balloons.
It's 10 balloons, but it's only, in terms of actual width, there's only about 4.
Yeah, it's ruled as a 4-balloon chain by Greg.
Next up is Mel. Mel manages to create a chain of 7, which is impressive. Not much more to say about her.
Mm-hmm.
And then Noel, Alex's chain is broke. Alex breaks his chain, sadly, and Noel gets pretty pissed off.
Yeah, Noel claims he did. Alex claims he didn't. Noel apparently tied his together as well, because he like holds up a balloon that's like been bent at one end. It's like as evidence of Alex accidentally pulling his apart, and he doesn't give a shit.
What's your verdict on that?
Oh no, it doesn't matter. It's not going to win.
Well, that's
If he has a 4 or 5 balloon chain, it's still not going to
fair
help him.
enough. Anyway, so the scores.
Then we have my favorite. Oh, I was going to say we have my favorite. We have my favorite quote of the episode, which is
Wait.
It looks like the guys who had to design the tube map have just had a breakdown. Where's Edgeware?
So,
yep, that is my favorite.
yeah, it's quite a funny one. I
episode.
wouldn't say I reveled in its humor as much as you did.
I like trains. I like public transit. So I thought it was funny.
Anyways, so the final scores: Mel gets 5, Hugh 4, Mel and I wrote Mel, but I meant to say Lolly. Lolly and Noel 3, and Joe 2 points for some weird reason rather than just 1. Because normally you're supposed to eliminate, or I mean, it's Greg's verdict, but in how scoring like that works, if you have a like joint first place, it means there's no second place; it goes to third. Because like if you,
I don't know.
say if like people, you're running a race between 4 people and there's a tie, and you come for those 2 people ahead of you, which means you had to have come third.
I guess I would have thought that it. I guess, yeah. Not. Yeah, I do. That's strange.
But anyway, it means that Mel Gedroich, ex-Bake Off host and winner of several guinea pig related prizes, also wins the Boastful Things. Congratulations, Mel.
Yeah, congratulations.
And
that is the end of the
we
episode.
shall put a pin in Taskmaster for now.
Yeah, and we're actually done in a relatively trim hour and 16
maybe a bit
minutes
more with sound
seconds.
bites, but yeah.
Well done, us.
Yeah, we should also say that as part of
that's
just sort of like because our lives are a bit busier, our episodes are again going to be a bit shorter.
Yeah. I tend to talk for a long time, which means that it's a bit harder to edit these together because it just goes on and on and on and on. Also, we're trying to see whether or not longer or shorter videos. Keep in mind that longer and shorter at this point means, an hour and 15.
I can't believe we
hours,
used to.
does
I can't
better
believe we used to have
of,
like 2-hour-long episodes.
Emerson, that was like 4 months ago.
Yeah, but I can't. But I just cannot grapple with the. I cannot even now wrap my head around the fact that we were able to fill a podcast episode talking about Taskmaster with twice as much content as the actual episode we were talking about.
It's because we had banter. The problem is that we are reaching a point in the year when not much is going on, and so we don't have banter. Let me just say, if you had let me talk about standardized testing in the United States and the GCSE, we easily could fill.
But I don't want that
minutes, because that would have added. Oh no, I know. I'm just saying that's why our episodes take 2 hours sometimes.
I want to go to bed.
But yeah, no. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for still listening to this. We love
He's
you,
been
listening
Joe.
audience.
He's been Joe,
Please email.
and I've not been
He's been
Joe.
Emerson.
Bye.
Goodbye, not Joe. Goodbye.